Hi, welcome to T-Minus Retirement, a podcast where we help launch your retirement into orbit. I'm Jay Cole.
And I'm Dustin Watts.
This will be a part 1 of 2 video talking about just the topic of retiring early. And I know we get that topic a lot. And should I retire early?
Can I retire early?
Can I retire early? Which I understand, especially if you're having a long commute. But we wanted to talk about maybe just how to retire early if you're thinking about doing that, or what important steps are needed to make sure you can do that successfully.
So what are we going to classify as retiring early? Because I'm sure that's what people are going to ask.
Yeah, so I know there's all different types of movements, or people trying to retire when they're 30. I think that's the FIRE movement.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, I think for the topic of today, we're going to say anywhere in your late 40s to early 50s. Pre 59 and a half, definitely before Social Security. But yeah, I think that's kind of good for the topic today.
Okay. Well, we'll start off here with the number one thing you need to be doing if you want to retire early in that category. You have to be saving well above the average savings rate.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say the average savings rate is below 10%. I'd have to look up the latest stats on that. But I've read some studies where they're saying if you want to retire early, you need to be saving between 50 and 70% of your income.
That's a lot.
Yeah, so that's way more than the average. You're definitely not keeping up with the Joneses if you're saving that much. But you got to think you have to make up for many years that you're not going to be working and being able to save. So you got to do that in advance. So that's going to be step number one. If you're serious about it, you need to be saving 50, 70% of your income. So right there, that should, if you think you can do that, that's going to be a prerequisite.
And kind of going further into that, I'd say maybe this is step number 2, but you don't want to just save all of your money in a tax deferred account.
Right.
Because if you're going to retire before 59 and a half and start living off of that and taking withdrawals, well, not only is that going to be income, but then you have to worry about an IRS penalty just for taking it before 59 and a half.
Yeah, you need access to the money.
Exactly. So it's good to save in those accounts, but if you're, again, planning on wanting to retire early, it's probably best just to spread out that savings, in a Roth account, in a brokerage account. So that way then you can buffer that gap before 59 and a half and not have to worry about any penalties or whatnot.
Yeah, so you definitely are going to want to take advantage of workplace retirement plans because you get matches and things like that most of the time. And of course, there's some tax benefits there. But over and above that type of contribution, I think probably a brokerage account is going to be your number one thing that you want to think about, at least aggressively funding, because you can at least start to access that pre 59 and a half. But going along that same train of thought is you need to have that money working for you. Mm-hmm. You need to be participating in the market. And you need to have a fairly high rate of return to achieve some of those targets. So you're going to want to adjust your allocation, to achieve that. Not that you need to, be hitting grand slams per se, but you definitely need to be participating with average equity market returns to get to that goal.
Yeah. I think another topic too that not a lot of people really think about is bridging essentially your health insurance from your employer till Medicare at 65. Mm-hmm. And so essentially you're on the hook for that yourself. And there's different options that you can look into. One option that maybe you might not really think about would be your HSA plan.
Yeah.
Where you could put tax deferred money in there, and if you ever need it for doctor's visits or prescriptions or things like that, then you're able to pull it out tax free.
Yeah, HSAs are interesting because they have quite a few benefits, tax benefits to them, and they're useful for those medical expenses that I'm sure are bound to come up at some point. So having a diverse set of accounts is definitely going to be to your benefit if you are going to be retiring, pre 59 and a half, pre Medicare age, because stuff's going to come up that you need to be prepared for.
Right, exactly. And that also ties in line with just making sure you have a good budget, both pre-retirement and post or during retirement.
Yeah.
Kind of going in line with the savings rate, you can't really live, I don't want to say lavishly, but you have to really take every dollar into account.
Yeah, you don't want $1,000 car payment,
Right.
and while you're trying to save 50 to 70% of your income, those two are not gonna mesh well.
Right. Right.
And I just wanted to point out, the thing that you probably have the most control over, apart from saving, is what you're spending. Having a solid budget, living by that budget, having a realistic budget is one of the biggest things that you have control over. So really looking within, evaluating your current situation, and thinking down the road, hey, what do I want to spend in retirement? What am I able to spend in retirement? And be realistic about that, because you're going to have 40, maybe 50 years of unemployment, of prices going up, of having to support yourself. So having a good foundational budget is going to be to your benefit.
And it's also good maybe in these working years, prioritizing trying to pay off all your debt, or at least most of your debt. So those car loans, those credit card debts, ideally your home loan, but obviously that's a little bit more of a bigger challenge to do.
Yeah, going into retiring early with debt, I don't think is going to work out very well.
It's definitely not.
Yeah. Well, we hope you enjoy this topic. We're going to be bringing you part 2 of how to retire early very soon. So if you do like the content, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in part 2.